males as well. You gotta remember, criminals are very much not racists. We could be, okay? But that's not what they're thinking at the time. All they're thinking about is who's gonna be the easiest target. Who in here looks like they're gonna be just easy, I'm not gonna get caught. Okay, so male, female, child, whatever, okay? That's how they think. So some more stats here to bring it home. In 2017, 48 real estate agents died while on the job. In 2020, 23% of realtors said they worked in fear on an R. That's the National Association of Realtors survey. There's a lot of data at the New York Association of Realtors because they're so large. You know, they have so much data. But there, 60,000 annually realtors, well, I should say real estate community. I'm sorry, I've been saying realtors, but real estate community, lenders, appraisers, inspectors, et cetera, were victims of all these violent crimes. More than NYPD officers in 1 year that were killed, more common. So, and then in 2018, 9% of agents reported being attacked while on the job on a survey. Only 5% used a gun to defend themselves. I'm thinking that's because it's in New York where it's harder to have a gun.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's a big number.
But 5% use the phone app to stay safe. That should be much higher in this day and age. Okay. And then 2018, 33% of NAR members said they feared for their personal safety in the survey. The number increased to 41% in the survey specifically for females.
Because this is just New York members, or is this national?
No, the New York is the one that says New York Association of Realtors.
Oh,
Yeah, I just couldn't help it because I'm a big gun rights guy. I just admit to you guys. So can you guys see this okay? That might be a little small in the back. But this comes from the New York Association of Realtors again, just to show a little graph real quick. It's showing that 23% work in fear. That's 322,000 realtors based on the 1.4 million NAR members. So that one was actually for the whole country. And then that's 14,000 realtors in the New York area. So you know, the stats are higher for women than men because, like I said, you know, criminals don't think they're not gender biased or anything. They just look at who's the easier targeted. So it just happens to be that they tend to pick women more often than men. You know, there's also the element that there's probably more so attractiveness going into that. You know, and those kind of malicious type things in some of the minds of the criminals. Don't be offended, guys. I think you all look very handsome.
But Chris, you know, also, a lot of the motives with men are different. What are you looking at? Who do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those kind of things happen with men a lot more.
Right.
So it's not just a matter of robbery or rape, but boy, I've dealt with a lot of men that were anally raped. Do you think they want to talk about that with anybody? No, they have talked with me about it, and they finally come to me, but men get attacked violently.
Yeah, there was a story I just read in an article the other day. There was a 300-pound, I think he's about 6 foot tall, big guy. He was a veteran. He was I think he was Army infantry veteran, and he was a realtor. And he got attacked. He was showing a home or something. I don't know all the details, but he was alone with a stranger, with a guy, and the guy pulled out a gun and actually pistol whipped him and really beat him up badly. And he said after the fact, he said, I never would have even thought about the fact that somebody would do that to me. You know? So it really can happen, and you know, probably we're going to talk about some of the dynamics that criminals will look at so that we can better ourselves, to not make ourselves more and more of a victim and set ourselves up for that. But he probably, the likelihood is that he probably was not really aware of his surroundings. He probably had his back to the guy, you know, a lot. He probably showed signs that the guy could really surprise him and take advantage of him. We don't know what his motive was. It could have been money. It could have been, you know, whatever.
What is the number one motive for attacking realtors?
I'm gonna let Mark
Sexual?
Well, realtors, I guess I shouldn't, but I was going to say Mark would probably know the number one motive for attacking, somebody attacking another person.
A realtor.
Realtor, yeah.
A realtor.
Specifically a realtor, right?
You know, that's a
I
really,
would say the number one thing would be a sexual assault on a female. Or perhaps they perceive that the individual has money, or he's wearing a ring that's $5,000 or a watch, that's a lot of money, and maybe he's an opportunist and he realizes, man, I could pawn that watch for a bag of methamphetamine real quick, you know, so those could be the things. I wanted to point out, I've been talking to realtors for 27 years, and when I was doing it 27 years ago, they all laughed at me, because I was talking about security stuff, and they were like, how are we gonna make the sale if we're doing all the things you're saying? I'm saying, okay, continue to do things in the most stupid, dangerous way. I mean, at least with the realtor on the film, they did have a camera view, and I must say, he had some balls.
Yeah.
That he was willing to, after he knew the camera saw him, I'll guarantee a lot of people would realize, crap, I'm on a camera right now, you know? But I was always recommending you get their driver's license, and they're like, we can't offend our client like that. And I'm like, okay, give them safe.
you know, that reminded me, the rest of the story on that video, that woman, she had said, after the fact, that what she thought led up to that was that he wanted to go back into the house, I think is what it was. So can you imagine that if they were in the house by themselves?
Right.
What was his intention? Why did he want to go back in the house?
Yes.
He wanted to rape her.
That's what you need to figure out.
Right, and she saved her life by the fact she didn't go back into the house. So I think the wrong conclusion is drawn if it's like, you know, it pissed him off that she wouldn't go back in the house, and at that moment, he decided to shove her. Like heck.
Yeah.
He was frustrated. Yeah, he was frustrated.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But he had, you know, other intentions. He was
Sure,
going to
yeah.
rape her out on the lawn right there.
Right.
I'm surprised he didn't get her by the hair though and drag her
Drag
back
her
in
into
the
her
house.
Yeah.
Right,
Could've.
yeah.
He could have.
We don't know what the surroundings were. There could have been somebody, you know, there could have been people around or something. It was daylight, so maybe he just was in fear of his own safety, or you know, somebody seeing him.
Right, but get a quick rope and get out of there.
Right.
Yeah.
Like the coward that he is.
Like a coward that he is. Well put.
Exactly. Am I getting later? So how do we become more at risk? Okay, and I think to preface this, what Mark had said there was really good. We know how hard it is to get sales. We know how hard real estate, the market is. If anyone tells me you think it's easy, I'm gonna think you're probably not really working as a realtor. You're probably one of those things. Right, so you know, we work so hard to get sales, and sometimes we feel like we're, you know, it's just exhausting. You know, what more can we think of to do to win a client over, or whatever, you know, or how can we figure out to make this deal work, and we have things like that, you know, and then to think on top of that, safety, you know. So the nice thing is that we can all take a little bit of time, and we can adopt some dynamics and some things that are fairly simple that you can make into kind of a habit. You know, now having said that, we need to always be mindful. We need to be aware of our surroundings and to train ourselves to be that. You know, like I said in the beginning, when I was a police officer, I mean, my wife will tell you, you know, I'm driving and when I'm off duty, I'm driving with my family, and I'm still looking everywhere all the time.
Absolutely.
You
Up
know?
the road.
And on the
And
move.
I'm not looking up on the road. That's where it became an issue. But you can do everything as a realtor and be safe, okay? Because safety should come first. So why are we more at risk? You're realtors. We normally work alone, right? We almost always work with strangers, right? We can't control where we go a lot of the time, what properties we have and whatnot, okay? And that's more specific for realtors, but lenders, you know, to a certain degree, I'm going to talk more about that too, people that might stay in the office more so. And then, you know, we rely on public advertising. We have a picture everywhere, our information, you know, our phone number, email, right? Probably our social media accounts too, you know, it's better to have those business accounts, but still. You know, open houses. So there are criminals that, over the years, the violence has gone up because criminals are looking for opportunity for them. So we actually give them a good opportunity. The dynamics of real estate gives them some good opportunities because they know if they can pinpoint where we're at a certain time, and then they can make it safe enough for them, that they feel safe enough that they're not gonna get caught or hurt, you know? So, open houses, are that, which we'll talk more about. But that, you know, the point is that, we're not too hard to find, most of us, right?
Well, you can go with that premise that, you know, where we are might be at risk, but the mindset, of course, is number one, where we live, sometimes we're looking at our phone too much, or we're in our computer,
Oh, yeah.
but we have to live in yellow, that's one.
Did you look at my slides ahead?
No, I'm sorry. But I just had some training in living in yellow, so.
Yeah, that's a way to look at it too. You know, what level are you at? Is it white or yellow or red? Yeah, and then.
It was actually Jeff Cooper who
It
came
was,
up with that
it's
system.
Benson.
With that
Right,
system.
right.
I use the system too. I alter red slightly, but it's a good system.
So you know, even I use lenders, just to throw it up there, because lenders, I think, tell me if I'm wrong with you guys, but you tend to stay in your office a lot of the time, at a desk, on a phone,
And late at
with
night.
a computer.
Late at night.
Yeah,
You know,
and late
right?
at night.
How often are you by yourselves if you're actually in an office away from home?
Well, I mean, lately that could happen quite a bit.
Yeah, right. Well, especially
Yeah.
during COVID.
Yeah.
You know, if we sent a bunch of our staff home, I still work in the office, but I kept the door locked.
Can I add something to that?
Sure.
You know, it's a good idea too to vary patterns. If you're
Yeah.
alone in that office, are you always parking in the same spot? And you come in the same door, and you come out the same door? And every once in a while, you come out a whole different door. You back the car in now instead of pull it in forward. Because this guy may have been watching you for quite a while. You know, when hitmen really are such things, they study their targets a long time before they make their move against them.
Yeah.
But varying your patterns can be helpful. I hadn't thought about that. You're alone in the office late at night. That's not good.
Let's say a drive home, different routes too.
Different routes driving home, right, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, if you have multiple exits out of your building, you know, don't use the same one every time, all those kind of things. Mix it up. So like we've kind of hit on, you know, a criminal's biggest fears, two things. They don't want to get hurt and they don't want to get caught. Okay? Now it only takes a seasoned criminal 7 seconds to size you up. Isn't that amazing? Okay, so we're gonna talk about how they do that. They're looking for an easy target. And it's good to know, this is almost like their weakness. So we can make up for their weakness and become less of a target or not a target, right? Because they don't wanna get hurt, they don't wanna get caught. So what do they assess in that 7 seconds? There was a study that was done, and they're looking at things like when you're walking, like your stride length, your speed, your body weight distribution, and your arm swing. If we can all think about this, probably the easiest thing to think about is you think of somebody who's older and frail. Okay? You know, maybe someone that's disabled and they have trouble walking. Okay? That's the easiest thing to think about in our minds, probably, of what's an easy target. If you really wanted to take them, they would be easy, generally speaking. Somebody that walks with a good stride, at a good speed, that isn't awkward, you know, that's fluid. That's something that they can look at real quick and they can pinpoint. It's not that different than lions when they're looking at a herd of gazelles.
Oh, yeah. They're leading them out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same concept.
Yep.
Okay?
The lowest hanging fruit.
Right. Who's the slowest? Who's gonna have the hardest time, you know, defending themselves or running away? Right?
Chris, can I make a point?
Sure.
I don't know if any of you ever read the book. It came out a long time ago, and I read it a long time ago. The Gift of Fear by Gavin DeBecker. If you haven't, it's an excellent book.
Say the name again.
Gavin DeBecker was the author. The Gift of Fear was the book, and I strongly recommend reading it. I remembered a lot out of the book, but he was talking about, I think he was one of the original profilers, you know, back in the day when that was new. But he said a lot of times a criminal would call something off because something unexpected happened. Like he's been watching this girl coming out of the convenience store after work, but this time a light is on the side of the building. And he said something like that could just throw him off thinking everything's not right the way he planned. That's why I was talking about burying plans, but he also talked about the interview, and Zena and I are gonna do a little more on that.
Yeah.
I'll expand on that.
Yeah. Another thing to think about with criminals is they don't want to be seen. They don't want to be noticed. They want a surprise. They want to be the surprise all the time. Okay, so if they think they're in the light, they're going to be in the light, like he was just saying literally, you know, then that's going to be a deterrent to them a lot of times. Okay? So the way we walk with this, you know, it's like I said, some of these things are not that hard. They're just things to adopt into how you do things, just to be mindful of. You walk with confidence, taking forceful dynamic steps that convey assertiveness and confidence. We're going to get a demo here in a second. Walking smoothly without jerking your body, have an internal flow to your motion. Okay, that's a lot of words we've all done it, and we all can do it, probably, right? Walk with posture, with your chin up, spine straight, shoulders back. If you're walking with, you know, in traffic, on a sidewalk or something, you know, then you want to walk as fast as everybody else, or maybe a little faster. Okay? And be aware of your surroundings. That might be the biggest one. Yeah, that's one of the things that they'll pick up on right away. Is that person just doing this?
Yeah.
You know? Right? Or they have their earbuds in, and they're just, you can tell their eyes may be open, but they're not seeing probably, you know, they can see, you know, they can sense that stuff. So be a star, that's an acronym. So we know how to spell star. Okay, it's an acronym. So stride, tall, arms, awareness, and relax. Even if you look stressed, that's another one, because now you're distracted and they can see that. Okay, so they're looking at those things. So criminals pick their targets by body language. Sometimes by verbal response, we're going to see that. They interview their targets, not by speaking, although sometimes they do with speaking. And they'll test to see your response. So sometimes they'll close, like I think Mark just mentioned that earlier, they'll close some distance without being aggressive, you know, they'll close the distance, you know, but I'm not being aggressive toward Jimmy, but I am getting into space. Is Jimmy going to let me do that? Is he going to just be oblivious to it?
Jimmy's gonna bow right up.
I can tell that.
Jimmy's gonna bow right up.
But if Jimmy just drank 6 beers,
Jimmy bow right down.
the thought to just bow up is like 10 seconds delayed.
Yes.
And I'm like, you know, this guy, he's not doing anything, and I'm a criminal. I'm like, I can take this guy. This is gonna be easy. He's never gonna see you come here,
Yeah.
right? So that's
How I won most of my street fights.
Chris, can I touch on Gavin DeBecker's interview? Real be quick.
Yeah, and then we're gonna do the demo almost right after.
He would talk about, no, you're gonna be a girl, because I can touch your butt, and I'm not gonna be a girl. And we're in a line, and he said, you know, the guy might come up in a line, and there's a magazine section there, and he does this. And what is he looking for?
Response.
How's she gonna react?
Yeah.
If she does this, guess what? She's my victim.
Yeah.
He's gonna now turn around and give me a rash of shit,
Hey,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know? Okay. That's just what he's talking about. Because he has this plausible deniability. In other words, look, I accidentally brushed your butt, I didn't mean it. But some people will think, well, now he's really gonna be pissed and attack you. No, he's not. It's like Chris is saying, he wants to end an inmate. And he's gonna realize she's gonna make a scene out in the parking lot.
you're right.
And she
So-
saw you.
So all this information about the stride and the posture and all this stuff, there's a lot of weight. It's very solid. Okay, that this is the case, and I'll tell you why. The study that they did, back then the studies researchers they went to prisons, and they identified these violent offenders, the type that we're talking about, that would prey on people, you know, for whatever reason. Assault them, to sexually assault, for money, for whatever. And so they showed videos of people walking on a sidewalk, just foot traffic. And they had them come in one at a time, and they just asked them, you know, show us, and here the guys get to show off now. their skills, right? So they tell them, okay, show us who you think would be a good victim, who would be an easy target. And so they did this one at a time, and they all picked the one in the crowd. and their results were almost exactly the same. All these guys, and they were amazed, but they picked the same people consistently, you know. And so then they asked them, you know, why that one? And they say, well, that's an easy pick. That's easy because look at them, they're walking slow, they're not paying attention, you know, whatever it is. You know, they can pick out the reasons, you know, real quick. So 7 seconds is how fast they can do this. So let's do a demo here with Tina and how to do it wrong and then do it right.
Okay, as I understand, because we just went over this real quick, our setup is she's meeting a client at an open house, or it's just an open house and the guy's there already? Tell me.
Well, we're gonna, I guess how about, from the time you get out of your car for showing to the time you get up to the lockbox, they've already sized you up. So probably a showing. I've not met
Okay.
you necessarily, we've talked on the phone.
I'm part.
Maybe, you know, but basically you're a stranger and we're just meeting for showing at this point. So just the time I get out of the car, I've gotta grab all my gear and things, and sometimes, you know, we got a lot going on. Yeah, I'll have to get back to you.
Hi.
Oh, hey, hang on just 1 second, let me get this
Okay.
lock box open.
What's wrong with this?
Too close.
Too close.
Behind
I'm
her.
behind her.
You're
She's already let you get too close.
She didn't say anything up right there.
Right.
So
Up
she
there.
had her back to me.
Right.
We could just draw conclusions about all the things that could happen, yeah.
And you can use her bag strap around her neck.
Oh, yeah. Neckties are like that too. It's
Yeah.
a good reason guys
What you been doing in your free time?
who work in prisons have clip-on neckties.
Yeah.
Because they've been strangled with them before by the convict. Okay,
So then, we'll do it again here. So, you don't wanna be distracted when you get out of the car, right? So hang up the phone before you're even getting ready to do that walk. Because you saw the first time I was on the phone, hey, I gotta get off. I'm already distracted, I'm not even paying attention to the surrounding. I probably didn't even get a good look at his face. You know what I'm saying? I'm
Right.
too busy being distracted, too busy task oriented. So this time, you know, we're gonna try to do a little bit better. So we talked about, Chris talked about walking, you know, with confidence and in stride. So in that 7 seconds from the time I leave my car to the time I get to that lockbox, this person's already sizing me up. So that's how quick it is. So you're gonna get out of the car.
Hi.
Hey, how are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
Good. I'm gonna get this this box open and we'll take a look at the house today, all right?
Okay. Now, I don't know what the circumstance is, but she stood in a way in this circumstance, I really couldn't get behind her.
No.
She didn't leave her back open. So you're gonna have to keep it up. I don't know where your lockbox is and what's going on, but you gotta realize, can I stand in a way that I know my back is protected as I'm opening this lockbox? Okay, she's gonna handle everything right again, but she's gonna have to do something else. You know what I'm talking about, right?
All right.
Yeah? She's alert. Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
So nice to meet you.
You too.
Yeah, really nice to meet you. I'm gonna get this box open.
Okay.
Whoa.
What's your problem?
You're standing a little too close. I need some room here.
Okay.
All right, and by the way, we only have 15 minutes to see this house because there's somebody coming here pretty
Well,
soon.
that doesn't
So.
mean any offense.
Okay, well,
Okay, now, is the guy being truthful or not? We don't know. We don't really know. Do we care? But is she gonna allow that?
No.
Something's wrong with the guy that he's up this close to her now.
yeah.
You know, for one, anybody with any common sense realize she's opening in some sort of security box, which is none of my business anyways, and I like too what she did. Did she go, sir, are you? She was right away, was like, what the, you know?
Yeah.
Get out of my space, what are you thinking here? You know? Now again, let's say my intention is to rape her in the house. Is he more likely to rape her now or less likely? Less likely. He realizes she's not the submissive one I wanted in that case.
I think it was good too that she noted, you know, we've only got 15 minutes, somebody else is coming.
Yeah, that's what I
Beautiful.
Set that
That
up.
was really good.
Disinformation is really helpful because maybe there is nobody coming. But like, let's say you're showing a house too, and you could be looking out the window, you're a woman, you're like, my husband's bringing me lunch, he was supposed to be here 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
No, this guy's got a little doubt in his mind that, oh, somebody's gonna show up here in a minute.
Right.
And of course, it's a lie.
Yeah.
Right.
The guy's not showing up.
Right. If I could, oh, go ahead.
Just curious, talking about opening the lockbox. Sometimes people want the lockbox someplace you can't see it in the front yard.
That's right.
You know,
That creates a whole nother issue.
If they think, well, that's just telling someone to break into my house, if, it's empty or something. So what do you do in the case like that? Do you put it in the backyard, or just, I gotta put it in the front, or what's your recommendation?
Well, every situation is gonna be different. Different people, different circumstances, like you said. So if it's on the water spigot on the side of the house, way away from the front door, and maybe it's on the side of the house, not even in the front, type thing, and you are kind of isolated over there, then even more so, make sure the first thing is what she did. She looked him right in the eye.
Yeah.
Right.
She didn't stare him down, but she looked at him like, I'm looking at you.
Like, I know who you are.
So
Yeah.
And doesn't it make sense anyways, you're meeting somebody and you're like this?
Yeah.
If I were meeting you for the first time, I'd look you right in the eye and
How
I'd,
you doing?
yeah, how you doing?
I guess I was thinking more if it's like, let's say in the backyard.
Yeah, I'm not
She
following, I'm not
could look
really,
at
I'm
you,
not
she
following
knows no one's
that.
gonna see it. And if you're, let's say physically stronger or something, it doesn't matter how much she's looking at you, you can subdue her. Maybe possibly very quick.
Not if she
And,
knows
and,
how to fight.
and there's not a lot of.
Not if she's been trained by me.
Certain person hasn't been, but you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no,
And
absolutely.
there's no
And those-
witnesses, no one can see.
And those are
anything.
things to think about. Sometimes you can't have a partner, yes.
I was saying, I think in that scenario, you could walk them to the front door and say, oh, wait a minute, the lockbox is on the side.
I like
Wait,
that.
wait right here,
Right.
let me go
Yeah.
around and get
Wait
the
for me,
key.
let me do it.
Just one
Now
thing
you
to
have
do.
space, you see them coming around the house towards you, and then now you can, whoa, what's going on here?
like
You
that.
can keep distance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so the
But
minute that
she
they-
already she already told him to hang on right here, let
Yeah,
me get it. What is he doing following?
Yeah.
That's good.
So, and that's good. We kind of set boundaries. You talk to people like that, set a boundary like that. You stay at the front door. And if he wanders following her or anything like that, and she's gonna be aware of her surroundings, she's gonna see it right away. Now she can call him out and look at him and be direct. And if she needs to create more distance, she does that. If she needs to pull out her phone or her weapon or run to a neighbor or whatever it is, those options are, give her a lot more.
And I think to do your best to find out where the lockbox is. I don't know, sometimes you get to it and you're like, where the heck is the lockbox? And so you're busy searching for this lockbox. Now you're vulnerable because you're concentrating like, I don't even know where they put it. So if you can do your best to ask the agent, where did you put the lockbox? Is it in the front of the door, or if it's not, tell me exactly where it's at so that you're not caught by surprise. You are a little more prepared. Yes.
And another thing, if I were a realtor, and I know time, none of us have enough time, but if I was showing a property, I would try and get there early and have the place already
Yeah.
open.
Michael, I was gonna point that out too. And if the guy is there super early, maybe he still just likes to be early, but it would bring me to Orange.
Yeah.
It'd bring me to Orange with you that, wow, he's here 40 minutes early. If you were there but in an ideal world, you already have opened the box and he's not there, she's not there. Could a woman be your detective?
Yes.
Absolutely. And she could work in cahoots with a man.
Yeah.
She's this good looking girl and she's got Chris all distracted now. Bending over with her blouse on, whatever. And then the other guy is gonna jump her from the back.
When our daughter moved out, we gave her like pepper spray and that kind of stuff to put on her keychain, and that might be like a deterrent if you had, like, you were holding on to your pepper spray or something, because they're not gonna be offended at that, I wouldn't think, for you to have some kind of
I
a
don't think
protection.
you're gonna like what I have to say about that.
Oh, you don't like it, or like, we got her pepper spray and also
I don't know if Chris went through
Yeah.
this, but I've been through it. They've done studies before where they take 2 police officers and they put strip away jerseys on. And they have the one officer, let's say he's the officer, I'm gonna play the part of the victim. He has to take it point blank for about 3 seconds, and then the person runs. And his job is to run him down and tear the jersey off. Guess how many times they can do it percentage-wise? 100% of the time.
No kid.
Yeah, everybody thinks, oh, it's so painful, anybody will stop. Not if he's motivated enough. People get hit with multiple rounds with high caliber bullets and they don't stop fighting. So The other thing about the pepper spray on the chain, don't you think he's gonna see it and realize, I'm not gonna give her a chance to utilize that? To me, the pepper spray would make more sense if it was hidden, you sprayed him in the face, kicked him in the balls, and then bashed his head open with the canister. But I can tell you, him as a police officer, look, I don't teach sports stuff.
Yeah.
What we're talking about, I only deal with deadly types of attacks. And when a person is attacked, is it deadly or not? How do you know? Do you know the capabilities of this guy? Let's say I come up to Jimmy and I'm giving him a hard time. Does he know anything about me? Nope, and I don't know anything about him. I do now, but it's stupid too to size people up. You know what I mean? Like, men do it all the time.
Right.
I gotta tell this funny story. There's a guy at the gym. I can't tell if he's trying to compliment me or what, but he was talking with Greg Galpin, and Greg Galpin trained with me for a while. And he was talking about what a badass I was. But he goes, man, don't let that old man walk fool you. What old man walk? I can kick your ass. Don't let that old, I was like, I walk like an old man. So I don't know if he was jabbing me or what.
That's funny.
Well, I'll tell you real quick, when I went through my police officer training, it was a little bit different than that, similar, but they would spray in the face for a good 3 seconds, right in the eyes. You had to actually hold your eyes open. If you close your eyes, then they would do it again. You had to have your eyes open. But it makes you angry, okay?
Yeah.
You get pissed off, that's what it happens, okay? And while I can't see as well, I know what I just saw, and I'm going for it, okay? So what we had to do as a police officer in that training, we had to, you're getting sprayed by a bad guy, okay? That's the whole scenario. You gotta go fight him, you gotta put him into custody, put him into cuffs, then you get under radio while pepper spray and eye fluid and everything else is, tears and everything is going in your mouth and your nose, and you had to call it in to dispatch on your radio, and the way they did it, is they can't hear it the first 2 times, and you're just like, this hurts.
There's a difference between pain and injury though.
Yeah.
And pain doesn't stop people in a lot of cases. It's only injury. Cut off his breathing airway with the edge of the hand blow in the throat. Crush his testicles, snap his neck. I know these are severe things, but break his leg. Now the guy's down on the ground with a broken leg. I don't care how good his pain ability is, he can't run after you anymore. But pain is really subjective. When I was young, I got about beat to death in an attack. And after it had happened, and I was a grappler, my background was jiu-jitsu and grappling. I took this guy to the floor. Well, his buddies got involved. Once I was tied up with him on the floor, and I got hit with a bat, I had my ribs broken, I had teeth knocked backwards, I was pounded all over, and when the police drove up, I immediately stood up. And I was embarrassed more than anything. There was blood everywhere. And the cop looked at me and he went, oh, when he looked at my face, he goes, you're going to the hospital. I said, I'm not going to the hospital. I'm not going. I said, I don't need to go. I just want to go wash up. And he finally conceded to let me go. And we got about 5 minutes away with my friends, and I went, take me to the hospital. The adrenaline was wearing off. I wanted to say another thing about the pepper spray. You know what they give you if you have something like that? Adrenaline of some sort. What does the attacker have already? Adrenaline. He has stuff to deal with that. But I've had police officers come up to me and go, Mark, you better not be teaching pepper spray. It doesn't work. I'm laughing at them and go, I've never taught pepper spray. Because they're going, I had this guy the other night spraying the heck out, wasn't doing anything. The time an officer uses pepper spray is control work. In other words, let's say Chris is going to arrest me and he says, you're telling me I'm under arrest.
You're under arrest.
Hey, I'm not going to be under arrest. You're not putting any handcuffs on me. Am I attacking him? Right. Does he have a right to kick me in? Does he have a right to kick me in the balls right now? No. I haven't really attacked him, but I'm just making, no, you're not putting any handcuffs on me. And then just like we did, he sprays me down. And of course, now he gets his defensive maneuver and takes the guy into position. But when cops get into serious situations, they don't pull their pepper spray out. And if they do, they're going to find out it's going to be woefully lacking.
Yeah, because you don't know what he's going to pull out in response.
Yeah, you pull out pepper spray, he pulls out a knife. Criminals don't carry things like pepper spray. They carry knives and guns.
Yeah,
Is bear spray about the same?
Well, you know, I must say, if you had a big canister that went across the room, you might have something there. I'd still hit him in the head with a canister. Or up between his legs.
Well, I was gonna say, and I think, you know, if you have not taken a self-defense class, I really encourage you to do it, because as a woman, just having that confidence and knowledge in your pocket and being aware and knowing that you can prevent it helps so much. You know, our daughter, you know, we definitely, you know, went over scenarios with her, so she knows how to defend herself, and she's gone internationally and stuff. And so, you know, when I have, you know, friends that are sending their kids off to college, I always say, you know, you need to get them into a course, because just even in that 1-2 hour session with Mark changes your life, in that your confidence level goes up, your awareness goes up, and you have things in your pocket that never goes away. It's always there, because you'll think about it. You'll think about what's in your hand that you can use as a weapon. How are you going to maneuver if they come up to you? You know, chin jab, eye, you know, socket, throw, you know, all those things to get away from that situation. Of course, you want to prevent it first and foremost. So anyway, that's probably the best thing I can advise. But I know Chris is gonna.
What's probably better, you know, than you know, pepper spray, because of the reasons that we've stated, is just have a habit of something that no one's gonna think anything of. Just have your keys in your hand. No one looks, no one pays attention.
I always do that.
You know, now I can
Yeah.
poke somebody in the eye with it on my own cell phone,
Always.
right? The neck or a vital
Hold
place.
it this way too,
Right.
so you can do it.
Yeah.
There-
That's
Connie's vicious.
I like the
I learned
key,
that from
but
the
I'm
black
more
belt.
fond of this.
Yeah.
What one thing you notice about this, I like Chris's, I've met plenty of girls who defended themselves, put their keys through their fingers. But what's potentially wrong with this?
You can't really.
You gotta get closer.
Once it, I mean, how far is it gonna go back into your fist? How much?
He's
yeah.
the potential attacker. What does he see?
The key.
That's
He
it.
sees I formed my keys in my hand as a weapon.
Mhm.
He become aware of that. Now, like he did, he hit it. He put the key down to his side, by the side, but there's a basic strike I teach. It's at a little more advanced level. It's a minor strike, but you press the thumb into the side of your hand, you can punch the eye with it. And one of the reasons is now you can add things like a pen to that. It's the same grip, and if you become accurate at those kind of blows, it becomes easy to do with a key. And this is getting off topic, because we're really just talking about what is with you and how could you use it. Here's another way I could use the keys. I'm gonna throw this at his chest, but it'd be his face. And then I'd move in for the attack.
Right.
What's that gonna do? It's gonna distract him. So you need a few basic techniques, but you throw the keys in the face, kick him in the testicles. He trusts me because he knows that. You know, people think they get hurt in my martial arts class. Guess who gets hurt in my class? You do. Me. It's a beginner and they don't know what they're doing, and they end up chipping a tooth out.
Right.
How about tactical pins? Just because I've heard that before.
How about a regular pen?
Anyone, but are they any better? Putting money into one of those?
Here's one of the problems with a tactical pen, and he might be able to address this better, is, oh, you bought that pen specifically for fighting. And that could be looked at as a dangerous weapon, I'm not sure, or legally as a dangerous instrument. And there's a difference in the legalities. It's like cold steel makes a Sharpie pen, you know, a magic marker. I don't see the difference between it and a regular magic marker. You know what I'm talking about? But the other one says cold steel right on it. So there could be somebody could try to make issue that, oh, you carry that around because you're looking to hit somebody with it. Whereas if it's just a regular marking pen, no. It would be like, you know, hitting somebody with a flashlight. Is a flashlight designed as a weapon? But it's not designed as a weapon, is my point. Right, it's a flashlight.
You have something like I always carry a pocket knife. But if I were in a situation, I would use my keys more because, for instance, a friend of mine in Chicagoland is a real estate agent, and she one day was going into a showing, but she also, you know, knew that this guy had been stalking her or whatever. Well, she finally saw him, and he came at her one day at a property, but he didn't physically touch her before she reacted and injured that man. Now he turned it around on her, said that she attacked him because all he was doing was come and say, oh, hey, don't I know you? You know, type of a thing. So he played the innocent while she made her into the attacker.
Did he pull it off?
No.
Yeah,
He didn't pull it off, only because
Well, of course
there
they-
was,
of course
you know,
they're gonna say
evidence
that.
of him stalking her before.
Let's say this happens, and Chris is the defender here, and I come up to him and I go, you drive like an asshole, man, what's wrong with you? Where'd you get your driver's license? And he knocks me out right now. Is he justified or not? There's so many factors here that he may or may not be, but what do you think this guy's gonna say? I just had a dispute with the guy.
Yeah.
Then I simply had a dispute and he punched me right in the mouth after that.
Right.
And it gets
That's
dicey.
so much with a woman though.
Well, woman's got a lot more leeway, but, you know, as he can tell you as an officer, they're gonna look at, did the person have the intention, did they have the capability, and did they have the opportunity? And the fact is, although the thing that might not be apparent here is capability. What are my capabilities? Nobody would really know, would they? And the fact is, I do have a lot of capability.
Right.
But it's like, but if the capability is obvious, you know, like, this guy is big. Look at the size of, or like she's saying, it's a woman and it's a man who's now up in her face. If that's my daughter or my wife, they're knocking him out. Well, I mean, I'm worried about what's gonna happen next.
Right.
They've done studies where martial artists are so funny that they think they can stop anything at any time. And the fact is, not everything can be beaten. But one of the things they'll do, if we're standing like this, and I throw a punch and I throw it first, do you think he could react to it? Nobody can. It's gonna happen so fast. So that's why he would tell you all about, we want some distance. Why do I want the distance with the guy? Why?
So you have to-
He's got to step to
Yeah.
hit me.
Yeah.
Or he could acquire a weapon and then we'll close the gap with him. Yeah.
So I have nephews that are also black belts, and one of the things that I learned when I was studying a long time ago is that you have to be careful about what you know, and when you get in somebody's space, or they get in your face, you have to, you know what you know and you know what you can do, but you have to be careful because depending on your level, at least this is what my nephews were told, you know, you're now a weapon, and you have to be careful.
That's a
and,
myth.
And you have to, you know, part of what I learned in studying is, it's you know, but it's calm. You don't go for it first. You have to stay calm. It starts in your head and then it goes out. You don't automatically go around saying, well, I can take you.
Okay, I really have, I'm sorry, but I disagree with what you're talking about.
Okay.
Let me use Zena as an example. I've approached her. Do you remember the relaxed ready position? Angling yourself off? Hey lady, I'd knock your fucking teeth out.
Get back, get back.
Get in the car.
No.
Okay, now
Get
hang on,
away.
now hang on, let me just point something out. Get in the car or I'll kill you. Does she have to wait for me to throw the first ball? Of course she wouldn't wait for me to throw the first ball.
Well, the threat's been made, right? So.
That's what I mean. Is there the opportunity? Yes. Is there the capability? Yeah, I'm a man. And is there the intention? I've clearly made the intention. I'm kidnapping her. But that's one of the things in traditional martial arts. If you go on my YouTube channel, I'm recently doing a thing on the 12 tactical skills of hand-to-hand combat. And one of those things, the last one I did, was be the best defense is an offense. But it was always taught in traditional arts, and I did them too, block first. It doesn't work. Now, she's got a good point in that, look, you can't just fly off the handle. There's so many things that you're gonna have to assess here as to what the danger level is. How about I'm with Chris, and I normally have a blade on me, but I don't right now. And my hand is, yeah. Blade in the hand. Hey man, blah, blah, blah.
That's a knife.
Well, he doesn't see it. But the fact is, I'm within the capability of stabbing him. That's a ray knife.
Yeah.
You know, Chris, I feel a little inadequate.
Bigger's not always better. Sometimes it is though.
Okay, so So here's
That's
a
a
question
knife
for you.
in
So
the-
this actually happened last year in Denver, North Denver. I remember reading the article where a woman takes a guy into a showing, and there's two stories. He goes upstairs, she follows him up there. He pulls out a knife, she pulls out a gun. And he ran, okay? So I'm just saying, making that difference about who's gonna react to what. And she was prepared. She knew what was going on, but so did, he thought he was gonna get the upper
That's
hand.
good. Well, let's continue through here because we're jumping ahead on a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But I really appreciate, you guys have a lot of interest. This is great. So we're gonna talk about some of those exact things. Okay, you're right. Real quick, one of the things that we do is we always want to look our best as real estate professionals because we have to get clients. We have to get clients. We're competing with our colleagues and competition. So we think about what message you're sending with your profile. That's what this section is all about. Are you professional and confident? That sounds really good, right? It sounds pretty safe. Are you fun and easygoing? That could be okay. Are you successful and rich? Are you really putting it off that you have the blingy jewelry on and the nicest, really like the nicest clothing and whatnot? That's probably not a real good, I know a real estate mentor when I first got into it, he told me, you guys probably all heard this, he said, if you have a really nice car, never drive it to showrooms and stuff. Don't drive the deadbeat car, but drive your mid-range, just a decent car that looks okay, but not your really nice car.
Can I say something as a non-realtor?
Sure.
If I was buying a home and the guy drove up in this real expensive car, I'd think, damn, he's gonna charge me way more.
Yeah, right.
Look at the money he makes, If he drove up in kind of an average car, I'd be like, oh,
So same thing goes with our pictures, okay? So, should it be more like the first one or the second one? What do you think? You're just supposed to be a little humorous. Obviously, we're not gonna do the first one. But doesn't that second guy look like a professional guy? Nice guy, confident, probably professional. Right? How about which one of those?
Oh, yeah.
So I wouldn't say it's just women, but probably more so women might do this with their pictures than men. When you really doll yourself up, you can almost have your fashion pick, and maybe it helps you get more clients. Maybe it is effective, but you got to remember, criminals are looking for, a lot of them are looking for that sexual thing. Okay, so it's something to think about, not to make yourself more of a target. Okay, just to use some discretion in that. Example, Beverly Carter was one of the top producers in her area. She was a very successful realtor, if you've heard of her. It's a pretty famous thing. But she was targeted by a guy, and he killed her and robbed her, and it was because she looked like she was rich. That was his motivation.
And her son spoke here.
Yes.
About two and a half, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
You'll never forget it. If you ever hear him, you will never forget that.
Right.
It's got a foundation.
So some tactics, things we can do before you even meet somebody. Say you have a showing with somebody you've never met before. They want you to meet them at the property to open up a home or something like that. Ask some probing questions. Get an idea of are they legitimate or are they suspicious? For example, you say you're interested in this address. What is it about the property that interests you? What about the neighborhood interests you? Okay. A genuine buyer, that's what they're going to want to talk about. They're like, oh, I love this neighborhood. I think I've seen this and this and this. I like the homes there. Whatever. This house, this kind of thing. You're going to throw off somebody whose motivation is just to trap you and take advantage of you. Okay, with something like that, and there won't be a normal response. It'll probably clue you in. Yes.
One thing that I've always done is, especially if it's a guy and I'm by myself, is I always demand an office meeting. I don't demand it, but I always ask them to come in the office. And I've always gotten their license, and then my broker asks if I'm going out by myself, that I make a copy of the license.
Yeah.
And then, and then I make a copy, and then I have a chance to sit down with them and kind of feel them out. Do they seem weird? Are they doing anything strange? Do they have a knife on them? Do they have a gun on them? Just making a lot of general.
That's a good strategy, but in this kind of market, the best places, they got offers on them like this. There's no time to meet up and go through that. Maybe what do you do when they know that and they say, hey, no, I'm going to go with somebody else that will just meet me there. That's something to think about.
But the thing of it is, you know, I've always told people, your life is not worth a commission. And if somebody's in that much of a hurry, then perhaps they're not the client for you anyway. And sometimes that hurts to give the money up. But wouldn't you rather be alive for another person? And if they're in that much of a rush, it's just, you know, I mean, I would
It's how you qualify too.
I would stall it every day. And the other thing is, to piggyback on what she does, introduce them. If your designated broker is there, introduce them to your designated broker, introduce them to the receptionist.
Yeah.
Introduce them to anybody that's in your office, so people, they're seen, they're no longer invisible.
Yep.
Right.
I just found on that a little bit, my wife was a real estate agent for 13 years in the Chicagoland area. And you talk about some close calls that you had, you know, she would always, if she was going out of the loan, she would always let at least a handful of people know where she was, when she was gonna be there, you know, who she was meeting, most of all.
Yeah, these days we can put those tracking apps on our phones.
Yeah.
You know, that our family or friends or whoever has, right?
Yeah.
Another thing, to your point, in today's world, at least have them send a picture of their driver's license to you if you can't do the regular meeting.
Right.
Because now with the phone, everybody, and then a picture of them to back it up.
And you can put it on your broker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This isn't my policy.
Yeah.
Right.
This is, my boss's policy requires.
You can split that up too and say, well, you know, in other parts of our life, this is very common, whether you wanna go rent a car, you wanna get on an airplane, you have to show ID. And I break it down that way if it gets, I need to go that direction.
Well, I think too, if you, and I'm a lender, so I look at things a little different, is, I'm gonna ask him, who are you pre-qualified with?
Yeah.
Send me your pre-qualification.
Yeah.
I mean, because if there's someone looking, their only focus is going to be to abduct you and harm, cause you harm, they're not gonna be pre-qual. Now, there's going to be certain people out there that are, it's an opportunity, and they're a predator. And you show them the house, they didn't really have the intention of sexually assaulting the realtor, but they got in there and it clicked. So there's gonna be the crime of opportunity, but the ones that they're out there just to cause you harm, I doubt that they went through the pre-qualification process to be able to abduct you. So again, we talk about do your due diligence. I would sit there and say, be aware of what's going on around you, because if you don't have awareness, you know, I believe men are more aware of their situation. And maybe it's because my wife is oblivious to everything. I'm like driving down the road, I'm like, did you see that car? No. I'm like, what about it? Nothing. But I think doing the small things is gonna make a big difference. And then you could tie it into, hey, by the way, can you flip me over a copy of your driver's license so I can match it up with the prequel, whatever. I mean, you can make, you don't wanna make it sound like, I don't trust you, even though you don't trust me.
Right.
But I think taking a couple extra steps may save your life, so I think I would give a little pause. And by the way, if they don't have a prequal and they have to go look at this house today,
They're not ready anyway.
I don't know why you
So I'm gonna disagree with you on one thing. My wife is not oblivious. She sees the sales. Oh my gosh, she sees the shoe sales. She sees what other people are wearing. And she says, you know what, that lady was wearing that dress, you saw that dress? I'm like, I remember the lady, I don't remember the dress.
So that's another subject.
Yeah, it is. Okay,
I want to chime in. My wife is she was a student of mine before I married her, and I never dated a student. I always have that as a rule, but I wrote it there. And I ended up marrying her. But when our daughter was younger, she's 29 now, and she was probably 14 or 15 at the time. When we would go places, I didn't do this tactically. It just worked out this way. They would be ahead of me walking, and I'd be behind them. And people wouldn't know I was with them.
Right.
So I would pick up on this guy eyeballing them. And this guy was following them from store to store. And I finally walked up to my wife and I said, did you know this guy's been following you since such and such store? She goes, no, you're wrong. He started at this store. before me? She goes, oh, I noticed him right away. And, you know, and then when I walked up with him, he took on a whole different attitude.
Oh, yeah.
Realizing, oh, he's with them.
Yeah.
But it was so funny how I thought I was like, you know how smart I am? I picked up on him way over here, and she's like, well, actually.
Alright, so we talked about opening a lockbox safely, being aware and whatnot, having your customer or client in view, you know, like we've demonstrated and whatnot all the time. It's not a guarantee, but it is a deterrent if you just look them in the eye. Okay? It's a good practice just to look people in the eye. Then you put them on notice. Okay? Without offending them. I mean, you stare at somebody for more than 2 seconds, they're probably gonna get a little offended or something. But a quick, you know, you look at them, you look, you know, and everybody knows, he knows that I'm here. And they don't wanna be known that they're here. Okay? So that's an easy deterrent practice to be doing. We talked about these things here.
You know, something else that's touch-free as far as protecting yourself with your keys, most key fobs have a panic button now. So if
Yeah.
you're anywhere near your car,
Yeah, exactly.
set it off,
Yes.
you know, if you're not comfortable.
Right.
Set it off.
Yeah, there's so much out there today.
Yeah.
The key is to think about how to utilize it.
Right.
You know, just because you have something that's a weapon or, you know, make sure you know how to use it, make sure you know when you use it. You know, 'cause
Right.
like we
I
talked
think
about,
that's probably the biggest thing is knowing when you're
these criminals,
in that situation.
these criminals, they will, if they get caught, they're gonna do everything they can to save themselves, okay? So they're gonna turn the whole story around. So if you ever do get into an altercation where you have to defend yourself, and you shouldn't overthink it, ever. But just realize, after the fact, you probably will have to articulate the reason that you did
Well,
what you did.
and that's a good point too. When the police arrive, you know, after a situation like that, you don't have to give a lot of information at that point. You just say, I feared for my life. That's it.
That's the
Then you get
articulation.
your lawyer.
Right.
Not- you know, don't say,
Yeah.
there's a lot of things you can say that, you know, obviously the justice system's a whole different story, but
Right.
that's it, you know.
I trained a lot of police officers. Captain Oppenshine with the YCSO he's one of my black belts. He's been with me forever. Chris has been a police officer, and that's how I met Chris originally. You were on SWAT, were you not?
Well, not exactly.
No.
We met back then. Yeah.
We met back in those days. But officers will often tell you that, don't be talking to us. And the fact of the matter is, let's say you shot a guy and killed him. Now, I don't care whether you're a man or a woman, there are gonna be a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Do you think you're gonna really be able to tell the truth about things in a legal world? Everybody makes the mistake thinking we have a justice system. I'm not putting it down, we have a legal system.
Yeah.
So you don't realize you said something, it's like, oh, legally, that's gonna be a problem for you. And when you get your attorney later, they're gonna go, yeah, you said what, I wish you hadn't have said anything.
Yeah.
If I dropped a guy and he was seriously hurt, he would be, or he had done it to me, because I don't get in fights. I absolutely don't get in fights. It'd be somebody attacking me. I don't know that I'd say much of anything other than this guy attacked me, I was scared for my life, and I'd let the officer know. If I'm under arrest, I'll cooperate with you fully. So I'm not gonna resist you in any way, but I'd like to speak to an attorney about what happened here before. Plus, you start going through the details. Haven't you ever had this experience? You're talking about something, and then when you think about it more, you go, no, it wasn't Circle K, it was Walgreens I was at. You know, and you're remembering the story different. Well, what do you think will happen if you're all excited at the time and you're given a blow-by-blow detail of, well, he came through this way, and he came through that door, and his right hand was behind his, what, was his left hand behind his back? Oh, yeah, what, they're gonna say, well, when was your memory, you think, the best?
Yeah.
Right after it happened, or 2 weeks later when you thought about it?
Yeah.
Now, to a jury, it's gonna be, oh, it would have been right afterwards. And the fact is, it may be a lot better, really, 2 weeks later, when you've actually thought about it. So when you're with your attorney, you're not figuring out how to lie, you're telling the truth. But the attorney's gonna help you to tell the truth the right way.
The legal truth.
The legal truth is exactly right.
Yeah.
You know, when I took my CCW class, what they told us was if you have to use your weapon and take someone down, whether they're injured or dead, you tell the police, you know, tell them who you are. And then it's like, officer, I want to cooperate fully with law enforcement. but I'm not gonna make a statement or answer any questions until I speak to my attorney, and you're done.
Yes.
Nothing, no matter what they say, hey, you read that bald guy? You know, you tell them the same thing, you don't answer any questions regardless of how, what it is.
Yeah, so it's good to know those things. Sometimes even police officers, when there's too much of that put on them, with lawsuits potentially and things like that, they overthink situations and they don't act when they should, because they're afraid of lawsuits. Okay, so make sure you understand that really well. Okay, whatever you're gonna do, whatever weapon you might have that you get in a situation with, make sure you're very well trained with it, that you're very practiced with it, that you're comfortable using it, when to use it, when not to use it. Okay, that's why we're not gonna tell you that everyone should go and get a gun. We're not gonna tell you that. Is it one of the best ways to defend yourself? Because if someone's trying to kill you, you want to have lethal force against them? Yeah, there's a good point for it, but it can also go way against you if you don't do it right, if you're not prepared, both mentally and with the skills training.
Are we going too off track if I say a little something about weapons?
Are you guys okay to sit for a few more minutes?
Yeah.
I train people in all kinds of weapons, modern weapons, handguns is certainly one of them. I have my own private firing range. And with a lot of women, and I train some realtors, and I'm like, well, how do you carry the gun? What do you think their number one answer is?
In the purse.
In their purse. It's the stupidest place to have a pistol. The pistol should be on you. But we'll put dummy rounds in the gun, and don't do this at home, okay? But we'll put dummy rounds and I'll say, I'm gonna be the perpetrator, and I'll start 25 feet away, and I'll pull that gun out and load it. Who do you think gets there first, me or them with the gun? Oh, they're trying to find it, you're here, they don't know where it is, they're trying to get the gun out, or sometimes they're like, they're showing the house, and I'm like, and where's your purse? And they're like, well, it's down at the desk, or in the car, or in the car.
Yes.
So I'm saying, well, do you take your purse then when you start walking? That's gonna look funny, but they think somehow that because I have a gun, I'm safe.
Mindset first.
Okay, so we've talked about these things here, you guys.
On your person floating. One in the chamber.
As we close up here, this is Mark's. I think you all got the cards.
Yeah.
Wait, if you would subscribe to YouTube, there's a lot of good stuff. Chris, can I say one more thing about that?
I'm gonna give you the rest of the time.
Okay. He talked about the confident walk and the stride. That's really important stuff. I'm gonna add another element to this. And if you go on that YouTube, it was tactic number 2. I'm on tactic number 7 or something right now. And there's 12 tactics. It was written by a guy, Bradley Steiner, in 1977. But tactic number 2 was to develop an air of confidence and superiority over the enemy. And it threw a lot of my students off when they heard it. Because I teach also times to act excessively fearful. So if a guy pointed a gun at my head, do you think I'd go, you'll never get away with this, I'm a 9th degree black belt? Or I would go, please don't shoot me, I'll do whatever you want. Obviously I'm gonna do the second at that point. I'm setting him up and waiting for the right opportunity. But I never forgot something I learned from him. He taught me so much, Steiner did, about the human mind. Because when I work with people, what do you think I'm primarily working with? Their minds. Their belief structures and what they believe about violence. But if you believe you are inferior to the enemy, you will behave inferior to the enemy, and you will actually become inferior to the enemy. If you believe you are superior to the enemy, you will behave superior to the enemy, and you will actually become superior to the enemy. So you're walking with that confident stride, but should your mind too realize, I'm not taking any crap off anybody. You don't think people can feel like he talked about the guys picking up the victims, A lot of that, predators have a way of feeling into people's minds. And they can tell. Ted Bundy, all the girls he killed, this is a little known fact, every last one of them, with a few exceptions, had some severe emotional thing they were dealing with at the moment he had them. And he would stalk them for quite a long time. But I don't know if we have time to go into any basic strikes. We probably don't. You can find it on my web stuff. I have regular ongoing classes. I have a women's class that meets every Monday at 5, and anybody can join at any time. It's at CrossFit. It's Joey Powell's place, the old ice skating rink. Yeah, Joey and I are good friends.
Off of 6?
Yeah, there's 3 CrossFits now, Sixth Street.
Yeah.
So it's the old roller skating rink. If you've been in town long enough, is where I'm at. And Average Joe MMA is in there too, John. He's an awesome guy. I really like him. What him and I do are different things. But.
Thank you so much, Mark, for Like I said, I know unfortunately, there's just not enough time to get into all the details, and it's all interesting, and Mark's a great instructor. So I do encourage you to either sign up for a class with him or so, get some training, pass the word out, be safe. And again, if you want to join as a member for $99 per year, please do so. And you can pick out your t-shirt, and we'll see you at the next event, okay? So hope to see you at the mixer. Bowling. Okay, bye.